Day 68. It's amazing how much better I feel after a couple of days at home with my dogs and my husband. Today, we didn't have committee meetings in the morning, so the floor session started at 1, and the first 3 bills were non-controversial. We had 20 bills on second reading, and we didn't make it through all of them. I think the last 5 or so will be carried over until tomorrow because some of the committees were meeting at 3 p.m. this afternoon, and so we had to adjourn the floor so that people could get to their committees. So I'm going to talk about just some of the more interesting bills. You can always see the House agenda and every vote at ledge.mt.gov. House Bill 623 was the alternative to Medicaid expansion bill that I talked about just last week. And I said that they stripped everything in the bill and told us just to trust that the Senate would take care of it and left it just to whammy slots. Well, it also amended $10 million down to $9,000. And the reason that they did that is because anything $10,000 or above has to go to the Appropriations Committee. So by amending it down to $9,000, this bill doesn't have to go to Appropriations. It can just go straight to the Senate. And what they did is they took the bill and basically crossed out everything that the sponsor had intended, everything the sponsor thought was going to be in her bill. And so they basically have a blank title and some whammy positions and $9,000 so that this bill now can go over to the Senate and the Senate can do whatever they want to it. They have a vehicle for an alternative to Medicaid expansion bill. And Representative Noonan did a great job of asking Carrie Smith, what are the amendments? What are we voting on here? And he honestly could not say. He time and time again said, I don't know what they're going to put in it. So this bill passed, just basically a nothing bill, passed on to the Senate so that they have a vehicle to work their magic on. Senate Bill 250 establishes an award of valorous service for Montanans who were killed in action or missing in action in the line of duty. And this seems like something every single person could agree to. It doesn't even spend any money. It's all done through donations. And there were 2 no's on this. I just thought you'd be interested to know that Representative Kearns and Representative Zolnikoff don't think that Montana should have a Medal of Valorous Service for our men and women who either were killed in action or missing in action. Interesting. Senate Bill 250 was a Fish, Wildlife, and Parks bill that instead of going through the Fish, Wildlife, Parks Committee, went through the Agriculture Committee. It's actually one of a whole series. And so that's always... it always raises a red flag. Why didn't they just send it through the committee where it was supposed to go? Probably because they didn't think it was passed or would pass. That's another reason. We see bills that have come through Human Services or Judiciary that really should have been in Business and Labor because they probably would have passed Business and Labor, but they want them, the leadership wants them killed in Human Services or Judiciary or killing fields. And so this Fish, Wildlife, and Parks bill that probably wouldn't have made it through went through Agriculture and did pass out. And the bill would cost Montana $18.8 million in federal money. And I'm sure you read in the paper that the $450 million ending fund balance that we had projected is now down to less than $100 million. And it's bills like these that are also saying, oh, and by the way, we also don't want the federal money that doesn't cost us anything. It's just really bad policy. It doesn't make any sense. So we had a second motion to blast Medicaid expansion today, House Bill 590. The Chamber of Commerce has endorsed this, and the Chamber of Commerce does have a lot of sway with both sides of the aisle. They represent a lot of businesses in Montana. And so the same people stood up as opponents, Carrie Smith and Austin Knudsen, but their message had totally changed. You guys probably remember the Day 66 video where I was just dumbfounded that these people think that this poor isn't poor enough or that able-bodied people shouldn't be able to take money from the federal government. We didn't hear any of that today, which I thought was interesting. Carrie Smith said that this bill came too late and that Governor Bullock must not really actually truly want Medicaid expansion expansion, or he would have brought it earlier. He also said hospital lobbyists want this money to support their failed business model, and that's the only reason that the hospital lobbyists were for it. He said that Montanans do not want Medicaid expansion, and that all of the current polls out there show that. And I really wish someone would say, what polls? Name one, because I certainly haven't seen that. He also went down this kind of crazy train. We're printing our own money. We're borrowing from China to fund this. I really felt like he was grasping at straws. And then Representative Knudsen said that Medicaid patients are sicker and die more often than those who are on private health care. And he said that like trying to say, I don't know if he's trying to indicate that they get worse service when they go to a hospital if they have one kind of insurance versus another. We all know that that's not true. I think he was trying to say, like, the Medicaid system is flawed, and you can tell because people on Medicaid die. But don't people on Medicaid die because they're elderly and poor, often injured so they can't work, so they're poor, so they can't pay their hospital bills, so they can't go to the hospital, so they can't get better, so they can't work in this endless cycle? Aren't they off? Yeah, of course Medicaid recipients die more often. Really? I just cannot believe that that is the argument that was used on the House floor today. It's weak. We also had on our desk today 3 letters from the governor. One saying that he has not vetoed, but amended House Bill 131, which is a bill that came through my Human Services Committee. And so that's interesting, saying that he doesn't mind the bill, but he thinks that we missed something. And then one saying that he vetoed House Bill 27, an act authorizing the use of a suppressor while hunting certain large predators. He said, most hunters are very concerned about the future of hunting in Montana. They know how important it is to act responsibly to protect our hunting traditions through reverence for game animals, use of fair chase methodology, and attention to maintaining a respectful public image. Hunting with suppressed weapons has negative connotations that warrant serious consideration. From law enforcement perspective, suppressors represent a challenge to peace officers. Property owners across Montana deserve the same consideration as they endeavor to be good neighbors by allowing hunters access to their land. I'm kind of paraphrasing and skipping around in there. So another veto from the governor on a gun bill, and another veto from the governor, House Bill 302, an act prohibiting the enforcement of a potential federal ban on semi-automatic weapons and large magazines. So this was one of the crazy gun bills that I talked about that says if this made-up fantasy land ban on weapons happens, Montana needs to have a law in place saying that our law enforcement is prohibited from enforcing that law. So basically making criminals out of our law enforcement. And the governor says in his letter, I am and always have been a staunch supporter of our Second Amendment rights. We have a strong tradition in Montana of gun ownership, hunting, and participation in shooting sports. I believe it is an important tradition to preserve. As Attorney General, I fought to protect Montana's right to keep and bear arms, and as Governor, I will not hesitate to stand up to the federal government or anyone else who attempts to infringe on those rights. However, this bill is unnecessary political theater and would not meaningfully protect our Second Amendment rights. Signed by the governor. I actually think that these veto letters are some of the most interesting things that come across our desk. I'm sure that they're available online, and I thought that you'd like hearing the message from the governor just like I did. So last I checked, you can probably look online right now, the Senate was still in and still hearing Senator Wanzen Reed's Medicaid expansion bill, and the kind of word on the street is that there are enough votes in the Senate to get that Medicaid expansion bill out of the Senate and over to the House. So there may yet be hope. Bye.